And they really want to hear about public speaking, right? So what do? Here's what you do. You'll love this. You're going to love this. Try this. I guarantee it'll change your ability to speak in public. Oh, yeah. So I said, well, I'm going to talk about public speaking. They could care less, right? I'm going to talk about public speaking. But before I start, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to have one of you come up here and speak for 3 minutes. And I'll give you the topic. I'm going to sit down, and we're going to critique you. You know, find out what you did wrong, if you get nervous, your ahs and ums, and that kind of thing. Do I have any volunteers? What do you think the answer was? No. So I said, okay, I'll just pick someone. And I started walking the crowd like this. Oh, yeah. No one would look at me. They all had a great interest in their shoes, in their neighbor. I'd go and touch them on the shoulder. They wouldn't look up. Absolutely not. Like I was going to throw them in the river. They're holding on to the pole so hard they'd never get it. And I just worked the table back and forth, scaring the whatever out of people. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I remember, one day they had an accident. Oh, it was horrible. And finally, I go up to this one lady and I touch her and she, no, I'm not going to look. I said, okay. And I turned and I started to walk away. And I kind of got this, So I decided, well, maybe I will. I turned around and looked, and her face just drained all the color out of it. She was petrified. And I just worked the crowd. Now, I wasn't playing to pick anyone. I just wanted to get that feeling in their stomach, that terror stomach. So I said, okay, we're not going to do that. Is that okay with you? Could hear a pin drop. No one was going to be the first person to speak. I said, no, okay, we're not going to do this. Is that all right? No. Finally, I said, okay, did anyone feel like if they didn't look at me, I wouldn't see them? And they all started to laugh, and they loosened up and said, okay. Now, you know that feeling you have in your stomach right now? Toastmasters handles that. And that's how we introduce Toastmasters. But the point I want you to take away from this is this. As a speaker, when you're brand new, you get up in front of the audience. What do you know? The audience affects you. Yeah. You're scared to death. Oh my God, they're looking at me. Did I comb my hair? Oh my God. I hope I don't forget what I'm... You're just nervous. You're inside your head. You can't see this far out. You're just petrified, correct? Yeah. But when you get to the point as a speaker, you realize you create the effect on the audience. If you've ever seen a great speaker or world championship speakers, they make you cry, they make you laugh, you can scare the death out of them. You control the audience. You don't realize it. You need to realize that. And if you have to do something like that to realize it, do it. Because, trust me, you go to do a kickoff meeting, everyone in that room, including the leaders, the different people running the organization, they're just as nervous. You control the audience. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So, the close. So, basically I say, those who can turn in their paperwork now. And then there's a big question, what do we do? So here's what I say. And maybe we shouldn't film this, but I say, okay, I know there's 100 of you, and you probably can't all be charter members, but just let me, and I look over my shoulder as if T.I. was watching me, and then I lean forward, and I go, okay, today only. Anyone who turns in their paperwork, I'll make sure they're a charter member. But if you leave without turning in the paperwork, I'm sorry. If you join next week, that'd be fine, but if you want to be a charter member, trust me. You've created value for these people. Now you've made scarcity, right? Scarcity. And this is their chance, and they don't even have to have money. They just have to fill out, if they can remember their name and address, they're all set. It works every time. It's fantastic. Because you are helping them. You're changing their lives. Make sense? How are we doing on time? Do we have...
We have 10 more minutes.
10 minutes? Fantastic. Okay. Let me see. I've got so many things to share with you. Does anyone have any questions so far? Yes?
After you get everyone to sign their name and address, when do you go back and get the money?
Very good question. Usually we get maybe half the money then, but there's always someone in the company or corporation who's running this whole show, knows everybody, he sent out the flyers, he's got that and so forth. And I just basically say, you know, Joe will be around here in the next couple of days, go see Joe and turn the money in, because he's the one starting the club. I usually make him the president. Does that make sense? And there, you close him now, you don't say, well, take the application home and think about it. Right? No. How many times have we seen that? Or I forgot to bring applications, but next meeting will. No, people aren't going to come up for a second meeting. You close them now. Does that make sense? Good. Next question, yes?
Sponsors and mentors. I can build a club in the blink of an eye, but getting the sponsors and mentors is where I hit a brick wall every time.
Really? Okay,
People are
good.
getting tired.
Tired, okay. Well, if they're getting tired, they're having failed. I'm sorry. The question was, starting the club is easy, but finding mentors and sponsors is difficult. Everyone's tired and so forth. Okay. First of all, why do people get tired? Why do people get tired? Can't hear you. Same old, so forth? Okay, here's the reason people get tired. They have a failed purpose. They've tried to do something, they failed at it. If you want to wake someone up and bring them back to life, you just rekindle the failed purpose. That's all you have to do. Now, what I would do, and this is what we do, is we have the sponsors, which will probably be the person there and maybe the area governor. I try to get every single area to start a club and make sure the area governor is one of the sponsors so he can be presence distinguished as well as his DTM. And the mentors, we find in maybe a local club that's going to be helping out. And we want to have the two mentors and the sponsors there at the meeting along with the area governor, if it's not the sponsor, and the division governor. We want them there to feel the pulse and get to know people and turn it right over. And we set the meeting for the very next week. So if we're meeting Friday at noon, that's probably when everyone can show up, so next Friday at noon. And we don't say we'd like to start a club. We're starting a club, we'd love to have you join us. And the meetings start on so-and-so. Got it? So it's already agreed upon. That help? Good. Question?
Your plan is just so different, and I think I've seen you on YouTube, so I'm really gung ho on this. The only thing I'm worried about is, what if the district governor, or maybe this is just so different, and they're not in favor of this new way of doing kickoff.
New way?
No.
Okay, so your district governor may not approve of you starting clubs. Is that the idea? I just want to get it straight now. You're the LGM, right? So your job is to start the clubs. It's his job to take credit for it, correct? See, I know, I was a district governor. I know all about that. Okay, so you're a little nervous about him not going along with this new idea of getting people. Trust me, I've done it many different ways. And when you come in and you do a show and you just pick Toastmasters in the audience to do the table topics, they're watching the show and they're intimidated. I could never do that, they think. And they walk away going, no, it's not for me. No, I don't let anyone, any Toastmaster speak, except, doing the speech. We get them involved. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, yes?
I'm in District 47.
All right, 47.
I'm sure you're smiling because that's your original district.
That's right.
I have a very interesting dynamic because my district involves two countries, and there are many districts in the room that involve more than one country. However, my district has, 80% of the district involves a country I don't live in, the United States.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are different policies and governance in relation to how clubs can be opened in the United States versus the Bahamas. Does that mean that I need to establish a club expansion chair that basically has experience here so that they can pick up ground if I fall short? And would it be the same thing for anyone in the room that may have multiple countries? They should have an expansion chair in each country.
You should do the next seminar. That's fantastic. Absolutely. What he's talking about is an extension chair. Here's what I want you to get. You're the LGMs. You need to be able to do this and have total certainty you can do it. You should go out and start a few clubs and bring anyone who's going to be helping you, extension chairs, to see how it's done, help you with it. Because if you can't do it, you're never going to get anyone else to do it. But if you can do it, boy, you can teach them, you can help them, you can go with them a little bit, and then they walk away with it. Now, when I was at District 47, we were all in South Florida and the Bahamas. I was on the West Coast, but we had the whole East Coast and the Bahamas. So we had 3 sections. We just happened to have a trio member in each. And each one of the trio members sort of took care of their section of the district. So I took care of anything on the West Coast. Christina Kilberg was just above me as LJED or district governor. and she took care of the East Coast, and then Pamela Roll was in Bahamas. And when we actually got a call, we personally would go and make that call and make the meeting, create that meeting for the kickoff meeting. We wouldn't give it to anybody else, we'd make sure it was set. And we'd make sure either we went or we got someone that we trusted to do the kickoff meeting. And we do it within 24 hours. Does that make sense? Good. Any other questions?
Yes, Rick.
Yes.
In the
In the 3 years that you chartered 108 clubs, how large a team did you have for each of those years?
2 or 3 people maybe for the meetings, and we had, depending where we were, they would have a group there. But you don't need a lot of people, and you're going to be pretty spread out, so you need to create groups of teams that can go out and do that. Make sense? And if nothing else, you can just show them the video. I'm going to send this to everybody. All you have to do is leave your card here, and whoever's card is on the table at the end. This is not the close. You're all charter members, trust me. Yes.
On your demo meetings, with the 15 minutes for explaining Toastmasters.
1 hour. 1 hour 15,
And
half hour.
25 people to do a table topic.
Oh, it might be 15 or 10, depending how quickly, how many people and so forth. Let's say we have a group of 20. We usually have a half hour. If there's a lot of people, maybe we just 5 to 8 minutes to get started, and then maybe have the kickoff meeting a little bit longer. And it doesn't take long to fill out the paperwork. If you do the close quick, you don't need 15 minutes. So you could stretch the whole meeting to maybe 40 minutes and 10 on each end, depending on the group. Yeah, but the idea is you want to get them winning. And then they can always take the paperwork back and whatever. But yes, back there.
What do you do if you have a situation where one of the people starts talking and talking and talking, and how do you shorten it?
If you've got a microphone, you walk over and go right on their head. Actually, that's a good question. And I guess that'll be the time to hold up the card and say, I want to tell everyone about the red card. Just get creative, have fun with it. The less serious you take this thing, the more fun you're going to have, the easier it is. It'll work. When you're serious, nothing works. Lighten up, have fun with it. Be insouciant. Look that word up, it's a good word. Yes?
I was going to ask, what do you do when you've been said that there are going to be 25 people and you come and suddenly you only have 5?
Only have 5, that's a tough one. Good question. I kind of call ahead of time and see how it's doing, and they should kind of have a pulse. I know. It's happened. And we still do the kickoff meeting, but I hate to come back a second time and a third time. You have one shot to really create that effect, and I don't think that's ever happened. When, usually they've got it set up. Sometimes they have a few less, but we did one last week. Last week we did it at Amex. Where's our Where's Tom? Tom right back there. Okay, Tom is our LGM. We did one at Amex, and we had a weird situation where they had the open staircase and a little landing and then stairway down. You could look into all the cupboards all over 4 floors, and they had no meeting room, so we had to do it on the landing by the stairs with no chairs for an hour. And we put people sitting on both sides of the stairs, so people walking down while we were giving the presentation. And they were standing, there were 2 tables with 2 chairs, like at a bar, on each side, and that was it. So we had them all there, we were standing here facing, and we started the club, right, Tom?
They sent in their paperwork Friday.
Perfect, all right. Okay, well, all right, before you leave, leave your card here, and if you want to write down my email address, it's my first and last name together, Rick Furbush, it's spelled RickFurbush, at mac.com. And if you leave your card here, I'll make sure I send this to you, and use this when you get your team together. Show them this, maybe that'll help. Does that make sense? All right, thank you very much. I'll turn it back over to you.
Rick, I've got a new name for you.
Okay.
Tricky Ricky. I'm telling ya, that closing and the whole way you look at the top 10 tips to get rid of your terror of speaking and how our demo meetings can really almost be contradictory to what we want to accomplish.